can you tell me a little bit about what you view as the potential for the Gambia Plan that you discussed, the potential that other countries might pick it up, or how it might be received in the broader EU?
Well, I think there is huge potential because the Gambia offers a few characteristics that make it easier to make a breakthrough there than elsewhere. It's a small country, it's a young democracy, there is freedom of the press today, there is a vibrant parliament. The people that left in the last few years are concentrated in some parts of Europe, particularly in Germany, particularly in Baden-Württemberg. So it is actually possible even to have the Gambia, as a small country, make, and this is what happened in the last few weeks, and I was there with MPs in Stuttgart to talk to the government of Baden-Württemberg, which of course has 11 million people, 5 times bigger than the Gambia, about ways in which Gambians who are now there can get education, training, and a status that allows them to work, and ways in which Germany can support this young democracy, including through scholarships, in return for the Gambia taking back anybody who's sentenced for a crime in a court immediately, to send a signal to the diaspora not to engage in criminal activity, and in return for the Gambia saying, don't go to Germany now because we will take you back. This kind of deal, which would leave most Gambians in Germany but with a status where they could work, that would create links, would make a vibrant diaspora, but would also show the people who care about security in Germany that about 25 dangerous Gambians now in Baden-Württemberg can be deported in line with the law. Everybody would benefit. And if this would work with the Gambia, which was one of the top countries of arrivals in recent years, other countries like Nigeria, which is 100 times bigger, but the number of people who arrived were only twice as much. 40,000 Gambians, 80,000 Nigerians, and most of them come from a very clear, defined area of Nigeria, the south, Edo State, Benin City. You can make similar arrangements there. You can talk to Senegal, and you can get to a situation where mutual win-win agreements reduce and stop irregular migration without trying to destabilize these countries by trying to deport huge numbers of their citizens, which is massively unpopular and as a result will never happen.
Great. Can you speak a little bit on the potential for the mini Schengen and opening the Swiss border option in the Western Balkans, both within the region as well as within the EU more broadly, what the impact of such initiatives might be?
Well, one thing we find that in the Balkans we have a lot of borders that were created with the breakup of the former Yugoslavia, which divide different groups. I mean, you have Serbs in Bosnia and in Serbia and in North Kosovo, you have Albanians in North Macedonia and Albania and in Kosovo, and of course in Montenegro, you have Bosniaks in Serbia and in Bosnia. And the idea of having these borders as they are, but invisible, which is the experience of Europe. That's what the EU and some non-EU countries like Norway and Switzerland managed to do, to make them invisible in daily life for ordinary people. You can cross as if you stay in the same country. This would be an attractive idea to a lot of people in the Western Balkans. It goes against the EU insistence of some member states that say, listen, we want you to control your borders so that migrants from outside the region get stuck there. Which of course is very egotistical. It's bad for the region, it's bad for the Balkans. If the 5 Western Balkan states could come together and say, no, our goal is to do what you've done for our benefit and the benefit of our citizens, to cooperate to make this possible, to have a Schengen, Swiss-style borders within the region, everybody would benefit.
Excellent. And then last question, what do you view as the most likely sort of outcome or future in the situation in Greece right now with the current migration situation in the islands in Greece? What do you view as the most likely scenario, and what might be the greatest, most important ways to address the challenges?
Well, I think we need, finally after 4 years, we need real realism about what Greece can do, what the EU can do, or rather what they can't do. Greece alone cannot manage this crisis. A country with 10 million people cannot handle the second highest per capita number of asylum cases in Europe. Others need to help. And they can't continue to help in the disorganized way of the last few years. The European Commission is not in a position to direct this. What you really need, very concretely, and I talked to the heads of asylum agencies in the Netherlands and in Germany, is some of the big asylum agencies in Europe that have experience, that have capacity to sit down with the Greeks and say, how do we manage to make sure that anybody who arrives on the islands, we have an asylum decision in line with EU law and of quality within 8 weeks, including appeal. And then, after 8 weeks, anybody who arrives in Lesbos or Chios is either returned to Turkey or moved away from the island to the mainland or to another EU country. This must be the goal, and at the moment, amazingly, after 4 years, the plan, the scenario of how many resources you need, translators, caseworkers, police, security, doctors, psychologists, interpreters, for this to work doesn't exist. At the moment, the European Union is treating this worse than if my family organizes a children's birthday or Austria organizes a football game for 2 clubs. It's done dilettantically with no focus, and if this continues, it will be a disaster for everyone.